will skip that, and then it goes to Jose Ospina from Cork. Then from Umeå, Erik Eklund. And the rightmost guy is also from Umeå University. Erik was in Umeå Kommun, Gires Nair. And then also Helmi Riihimäki from Kiertokaari. And one more guy who was developing the process in the first phases for Bjarne Lidelöf from Norway, Nordland Research Institute. And I believe that because these guys and ladies make it possible that we are now here, so we can give them an applause. Thank you. And now I like to show you a small 2-minute video. What's E-Lighthouse all about?
Climate change is happening right now. Glaciers are melting and some of our cities are suffocating in pollution. But more and more countries have been joining forces for a brighter future. 137 countries signed the Paris Agreement, and the European Union, with its 20-20-20 principle, allocated billions of euros to help the situation. We wanted to play our part in a better future, so we started a project, E-Lighthouse. The E-Lighthouse project is a partnership of 6 countries in a northern and peripheral region. The partnership contains high-class universities, research centres and local communities which will undertake practical measures to achieve progress. 40% of energy consumption comes from buildings. With our expertise, knowledge and cooperation, we will support actions that increase energy efficiency in public and private buildings and increase the uptake of renewable energy. Modern technology enables us to develop smart energy solutions to optimize the energy savings. We will act like lighthouses by guiding and navigating the general public and decision makers towards more energy efficient communities.
Okay, now we can continue. This was pretty much what was the reasons for setting up this project, and this is the E-Lighthouse playing ground, which is, let's say, a typical society where we live and work. But we needed to leave away industries because most of us are public players, so we don't have any touch to industry, so we couldn't do anything good for them. So industries. Also, we left out transport pretty much for the same reasons. 3 years is fairly short time if we want to change the way of transport. But almost all other things here which are shown in this slide are the playing ground that we were working in our project. The content of the work is like all, or let's say most European Union project is divided into work packages. We have those 2 mandatory work packages, management and communications, and then 4 content work packages, which names are shown here, which of the partners is the leader, and then who are involved in each work package. And about the results, or let's say at this moment we still have a couple of days left in the project, what were our targets in this project? We promised to provide 15 to 20 seminars in different places about energy efficiency in buildings in general. What we did, we also, and that means that we also get funded another extra project which was called Northern European Energy Cluster, which was the whole last year, and we have 5 different events, seminars in this NEEC project, which was actually delivering information about E-Lighthouse, another project called Increasing Competence in Northern Building and Construction and Renovation Center, 3 Nordic and Atlantic project together. Then we have as our target to reach about 600,000 inhabitants about these issues. We failed in that. We will reach somewhere around 350,000, but still I believe that it's a fairly big number for one project to reach that much people. Then what are our targets for the content, what we are doing? 250 public buildings. We are now 240, and this last 6th period is still going couple of days, so we are very close to reach that original target. And then about domestic buildings, which means single-family houses typically, to retrofit 2,500 of them. So we are almost there now, 2,420. And 2,000 new houses to get them better energy efficiency than is in the building regulations. So there we have already reached and going over the target of 2,000 with the number 2,267. So all these 3 targets combined, we are 104%, so which is a little bit above the target. And is these numbers, are they big or small? So we can say that what is our measuring stick? What is the scale? The whole program, European Northern Periphery and Arctic program, has set to themselves a target of 500 buildings for the 7 years, and they typically fund about 10 to 15 energy projects. So we alone are putting almost like 10 times as their target as a program. So in that respect, so they always hesitate that, okay, are these your real numbers? And they tried to get them down, but we said that, okay, our partners believe that we can reach and extend those targets, and that's the way how it goes. Then one not so big role, but still we are working also in waste, like Kirsti was telling us, and Kiertokaari is one of those, and also I know that in Puudö and Umeå, the work around waste is going on. And we will have a presentation tomorrow, all of these more, so I'm only touching the surface of what we have done so far. What else than get the big number of houses where we have influenced? So we have developed during that 3 years work so-called smart solutions, how to get the better energy efficiency in buildings, for public buildings and also domestic houses, or how to increase use of renewable energy. And these are the titles for those smart solutions. We have promised to get 16 smart solutions, and we can provide them. And tomorrow, some of you can still be registered for our next seminar tomorrow in Lapland Hotel. There is space for 40 persons, and I believe that we are still around, let's see, something like 30, 35. Heidi probably can tell an exact number. And these are the rest of those 16 smart solutions or models. So that's the big picture. And me as a project manager, I'm not understanding so much like our expert do, but the next presentation today and tomorrow, they will tell much more in detail what has happened under this big surface. So that's my part. Thank you very much. Next to Oudi, Heidi. Joo, mä otan pois. Siitä painat tuosta. Yes.
So Ah, 4 minutes. Okay, let's keep it short. So I'm Heidi. Hello all and welcome. I'm Heidi Tauriainen from City of Oulu, and I work as a project manager in the Building Supervision Office. So first of all, I want to tell about our team. We have three partners in our team: Facility Management Services, Building Supervision, and Kiertokaari Oy. And this is all the members of our team. And actions in Oulu. So because of Oulu University of Applied Science is a leading partner of this, that we had been a really good opportunity to work with teachers and students, and we liked it to give them opportunity to do their bachelor thesis for this project. And these are all the theses. Kasper Åman did his thesis in Building Supervision Office, and Tapani Alaoja, Markku Sunnari, Timo Alakontiola, and Janne Kurvinen did their thesis to Oulu Facility Management Center. And more actions. We have an opportunity to have now the renovation specialist for permanent job is only here. No. And we have now a renovation team, which include permit architect, renovation specialist, engineers, HVAC and structure. And we have done more quality guidance material for customers. Here are some examples, like how to improve and use the natural ventilation, and good to ensuring the functioning of a single family house, and facade and balcony repairs and balcony glazings. And we have been organized events and seminars for builders and people who are going to build a house. And I think it is very important that we cooperation with building users. Especially Oulu Facilities Management Center has done a really good job for guiding these users. And the main target groups are daycare centers and schools. And these are the actions what they have done in public buildings, like as innovation, new ways to show users how they are using energy. And this is one of their case, Vantorine Daycare Center. And there were users who were eager to find ways to save energy. And the producers weren't shown in the energy report. So Facility Management Service set up a new tool that controls heating. And if the building is empty, heating is lower. So the energy consumption decreased by 36%. These are smart solutions. Antti told earlier about them, and you can see all solutions in the lobby and read more about it. And what are the experiences? That some of the team members have changed during this project. Okay, so it has been really difficult to jump in the middle of a project. I have been working this project only 2 years, so it has been quite a journey to figure out what everyone is done. And because we have municipalities and schools and cities involved this project, they all have different practices, and so the implementation is challenge. Even we have a good ideas what to do, but how it's done is quite hard. And native language is also hard because it is not English. So so yeah, that's all. And it's never not enough time to do all the things that you are planned, because the time is so short. Yes, that's all. This is more or info. Yeah. Then thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. We are going to hear some Irish English quite soon, and some Swedish English beside our Finnish English. So, but we have had our languages together. It's easy for our Finns because we understand the Swedish and the English, and we have our own secret way to communicate. So it's always easy. So now we will hear some of the key findings in the projects. We will have 3 presentations. And I'm sorry, we are 5 minutes already late. It's my fault. So we are just having 5 minutes later for coffee break. So we will survive maybe with that one. So we will have, I will say all the names in this one. So we are having Karen Calvin from the Cork County Council, and after that we will have Jose Ospina from the NCE Insulation from Cork Island also. And after that we will have Erik Eklund from Umeå Community, and then Gresner from Umeå University. So please, you can start.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. Good morning. My name is Kieran Galvin, and I'm an engineer with Cork County Council. This morning I'll be bringing you through our key findings for E-Lighthouse. Let's go here. So I will discuss about our main improvements and also our key findings. So if we look at the amount of buildings, public buildings that we looked at, we looked at nearly 200 buildings that had works carried out on them. On average, we had a 21% improvement in energy efficiency, which is fantastic. Some of those works included internal lighting was the main body of work carried out, followed by improvement in building management systems, external lighting, heating systems and whatnot. So you can see that by doing the internal lighting upgrades, we're getting a 10% improvement. By way of an example, I just said I'd put in one example of one of the works carried out, what we did in Cork, which was to change out an oil boiler with a heat pump in a big building. So we had a building where the best practice, what we were actually doing in the building compared to best practice, it was a big difference. So we had to change what we were doing. We put in a heat pump. The payback was only 6 years on it, and there was a huge reduction in energy consumption. So fantastic. One of the key outputs of the E-Lighthouse project, and there's a number of them, but I'll just bring you through 2 of them, 2 smart solutions. There's posters outside on them, but one is software, and the other one is the ISO management system. So on the software, some of the issues for local authorities, and one of the issues for us is how do we look after all of our buildings rural areas, we do not have smart meters in a lot of our buildings. So when we try to manage our buildings, we're still relying on Excel sheets. It takes up a lot of time. So through this project, we were able to develop a software, which was ideal for us. That software, just a few screenshots, we can bring in bills. We can get the energy efficiency of any building that we have, and see the efficiency per square meter. We can do regression analysis through the software as well to see if a building is performing very well or very bad, depending on how warm it is outside. And that will bring up a smiley face or a cross face, depending on if it's doing well or bad. Actually, interesting, I did have a traffic light system on this before, but we had to change to a smiley face because my colleague is colorblind and he couldn't see if it was a red. So I had to change to a cross face. On ISO 50001, I don't know if organizations here are implementing this management system, but this is an absolutely fantastic system. We had to do something because there is a European directive that states that if you are a large organization, you have to, by law, carry out energy audits on your organization at least every 4 years, I believe. This costs a lot of money. Alternatively, if you have an international accreditation, you don't have to get the audit, so you're actually doing it yourself, basically. I'll go more into this tomorrow, but look, some of the benefits of 50001 is obviously you get, hopefully, improved energy efficiency. If you're getting energy efficiency, you're saving money, less carbon footprint. The main thing that we found was it increases credibility and it gets you the senior management of local authorities, which some of you in the room may understand can be difficult at times to get in front of. It really puts more of an onus on them that if they don't partake in the 50001, you lose the accreditation, which is a good stick to have. Some of the non-energy benefits of 50001 as well is communication and cooperation between different sections of your organizations, and obviously you have legal compliances as well. Part of I said I'll put in just 2 slides on this, and it goes with the software, which is an output, and ISO 50001, which is a smart solution, is how do we get involved with the senior management? Well, we have a non-conformance system. So if there is an issue with, say, all of your buildings, you have to tell the person at the very top that there's a situation with all your buildings, and we send them what's called a non-conformance. So I just did this as an example. Energy consumption is 5% above your predicted, and that goes all the way up to the top, and that's how you get buy-in from senior management. They'll get an automatic email. That's the end of my presentation.
So we will have Jose's presentation over here. And some more information about the afternoon. If you are interested for the bus tour, we have 5 targets in Oulu city. So there's some seats available still. Yes.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jose Ospina, project manager for NC Insulation based in Cork. Cork is the capital of the south of Ireland, I think, which would be more or less the equivalent of Oulu, but on the other side. I've come to outline what NC Insulation did in Project Lighthouse in this particular field, which is the sustainable retrofitting and domestic energy efficiency of residential homes. Now, there were a number of partners that were carrying this out, and Heidi has actually referred to some of them. I will not be attempting to outline what all the partners did. I will just focus on what we did, which I hope you will take as an example of what the other projects, the other regions were also doing. First of all, a word about NCE Installation. NCE Installation is perhaps an unusual organization in this type of partnership. We are a social enterprise, a non-profit social enterprise working with public funds to carry out a retrofit program based in Cork, but the retrofit program takes place all over the west of Ireland, covering mainly the MPA regions in Ireland. So it's very appropriate for us to form part of the Northern Periphery and Arctic program, in that we cover most of that region in Ireland, being based, as I say, in the city of Cork. One of the offshoots, if you like, of this project for NC Installation has been the setting up of the Energy Hub, which is a one-stop energy office for the city and the region, which basically provides advice and support to both public and domestic owners of properties in order to achieve the retrofitting. NC Installation was an offshoot in turn of another community organization called Northside Community Enterprise, which is a neighborhood association based in the north of Cork. And that organization has spawned, if you like, a number of social enterprises working in different areas, one of them being energy, NC Installation. It also works in social support. It also works in teaching, in adult training, and a number of other experiences. This model of social enterprise might be of interest to some of our Scandinavian partners. We've not seen the same sort of model really being used extensively in Scandinavian areas. NCE has been lead applicant for a number of Sustainable Energy Authority programs. Sustainable Energy Authority is Ireland's energy funding and support authority. It's a government agency, and it has a number of grant funding programs which it contracts, if you like, out to different organizations throughout the country in order to promote its energy retrofitting program. So these are, if you like, community-based vehicles, non-profit vehicles, for the implementation of the government's energy program. And NCE is one of the leading contractors working with a number of Sustainable Energy Authority programs, totaling about 18.5 million euros just in 2018, and retrofitting thousands of homes, 18,000 homes to date throughout the west of Ireland. NCE works in partnership with a number of community organizations, local authorities, obviously, Cork being one of the primary partners for NCE, Cork County, and also with SMEs that are actually involved in the contracting of retrofitting both insulation and the installation of renewable energies. So that's NCE. Our role in Lighthouse focuses on this area, domestic energy retrofit, being a very active retrofitting agency. The idea was to maximize the number of properties that could be retrofitted in the period in Cork County and also in other areas. Now, these are the areas that we cover. I realize that I'm moving a bit slowly here. Just to give you an idea of the sort of works that we're carrying out now, this is just taking the total 768 properties that were retrofitted. We've broken down the main works that were being done, and it's surprising, 54% of units had just the LEDs, the changing of lights, then window replacements, then magnetic filtration systems for central heating, wall replacement, wall insulation, cavity wall insulation, heat pumps installation, solid fuel room heaters, gas or oil-fired boilers, energy monitoring. So these are from the top repairs to the least popular repairs, if you like. You'll see from there that some of the repairs are very basic. The properties in Ireland, unlike the properties perhaps in Finland, where you've got more extreme temperature, some of them are very inefficient. So a lot of the work is very basic work of fabric retrofitting, of improvement of existing installations, often just changing boilers, changing systems, and very few properties actually having these sort of level of works like heat control upgrades and photovoltaic panels, only 4%. So it's some of the works are very basic, but you can see achieving a very high number of retrofits, 748. These again are the sort of savings that each one of these activities makes. Your roof insulation will make you a saving of about 7%, cavity wall insulation 31%, heating upgrade. Now coming to a core retrofit, it's about 60% would be our core retrofit. The basic retrofit, and then with the more effective integrated programs, installing PVs, mainly heat pumps, sometimes solar thermal, just to heat water, PV systems, taking you up to something like 80% savings. So this would be the sort of standard that we'd be aiming up to move from the low level of energy efficiency, an F grade, in the BR assessment to something like a B, which is really a saving of about 80%. This is the payback period for the different installations. As you can see, the renewable energy is the one that takes the longest, being something like 10 years to repay. Some of the others are paid back fairly quickly. There is another area in addition to the retrofit that NC has worked in. This will be expanded in the seminar tomorrow. I really hope you'll all be able to attend because we can't really cover it in the time available today. And these were the smart energy monitoring, and that is we installed a pilot energy monitoring system in a number of homes with a simple system there of plugs and apps to measure energy use in order to allow the monitoring of the energy used by residents and by NCE so that we could give residents advice on use. As I say, more information on this will be given at the seminar tomorrow. And the other smart solution was the formation of smart communities, which is basically organizations of residents to manage their own energy and to influence the development of their own energy plans, to allow them to decide what energy improvements are going to be carried out in their homes. And SE has worked with a number of SEs, in particular Carberry Housing Association and a couple of others. And again, much more detail will be given at the seminar tomorrow. Some conclusions, though there are many, many conclusions out of this, but I wanted to look at the actual quantitative results, and that is my calculations show that these retrofits that we carried out saved up to 42 million kilowatts per hour per year overall, which is the equivalent of the total energy use of about 3,600 homes. So I reckon that just us as a partner saved the energy use of 3,600 homes in the input that we've had per year in E-Lighthouse. Imagine what all the projects together have done. We've demonstrated that savings are possible, that partnership works, and I think we've now got to listen to the children and see that this is a responsibility that we all have to take effective steps to reduce energy emissions, to reduce carbon, and basically to save the planet for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose. Important message. And it's as important to know that we are part of the energy savings as users of the buildings. And we need education every day, not just the children. We need it too. We are too comfortable with our bad habits for energy saving. So now it's time for Umeå. And we can see what's been done in Sweden.
Yes. Use the microphone. Use the microphone. I prefer these. If you both can take that one, okay. It would be nice for the stream.
Another one.
This one?
Yeah, you can use it. Just press the so it's green.
Is it turned on? Just
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, perfect. Good morning, everybody. My name is Erik Eklund, and I'm from the city of Umeå. I work as a project manager and energy advisor. And I'm going to tell a little bit about Umeå. It's located over there in northern Sweden. We have a population of approximately 127,000 inhabitants. The city of Umeå is also referred to as the capital of birch trees. So we have a lot of birch trees in the city center. And it's quite young population because it's a student city. So we have almost 32,000 students each year. So a small figures and facts about Umeå. Now, what we have done in E-Lighthouse in Umeå, and especially we're going to focus on what we've done in the building sector. And I will start with energy savings in municipal buildings and lighting, also referred as work package T1, and what we have done there. We have improved the energy efficiency in approximately 44 buildings with actions included LED light installation, we've upgraded ventilation system, and also upgraded steering and control system to easy monitor and control the building's energy use. On the map here, you can see all the buildings. This is on our web page, umea.se, so you can see what action has been done in each building. The results of all these actions in total is about 4.2% energy savings compared to the baseline year 2015. One example, we did a project where we replaced old mercury light bulbs with new LED light fixtures. And it was targeted for preschools and schools. And the average numbers of light that were replaced was 26 in each building. So the result from this was big energy savings. We first calculated to be 325,000 kWh, but when we started to measure the energy use, it was even more, so up to 400 kWh per year. Ulf Roth, that is here today, has also been out measured the light output of some buildings. And we also see that the facade light is 4 times more light output, and the light post is 2 times more the light output. If we compare before and after with the mercury bulb compared to the LED, it's a 78% savings. And if we compare the total building energy use, that includes heating and electricity, it is approximately 2% savings for all these buildings. So that was work package T1. We're going into the next one, energy efficiency in households, and what we have done in Umeå to influence house owners and households to reduce their energy consumption. So in Umeå, we have influenced approximately 180 households with improved energy efficiency, and approximately calculations shows that it saves around 11%. And the most common action that is done is heat pump installation. For example, if you have an old electric boiler, they change it to a geothermal heat pump and complement their heating system with air-to-air heat pumps, for example. Also insulation of attic and walls, and behavior actions, behavior measures. So this we have done by enhanced energy advising. We have given follow-up consultations, data collection, and also done some specific actions to some housing societies where more advice were needed. Yes, then I leave over the word to Mr. Giresh.
Thanks. Good morning. I believe you can all hear me. Yeah. So my name is Girish Nair, and I work as a lecturer in Umeå University. We work very closely with Umeå Municipality in E-Lighthouse project. And apart from what Eric was mentioning in a lighthouse project, we also in Umeå did a few specific measures or projects which we classify could be as smart solutions. So my attempt is to very briefly inform you about two of those projects, and tomorrow I think we will discuss more about those projects again. So the first one is this building, which is a preschool built in 2014, and the approximate area of this building is about 1,400 square meter. And what is unique about this building is it is the first international Passy House certified public building in north of Sweden. As most of you are aware that International Passy House certification has some certain requirements related to their energy use. And one such requirement is the specific heating requirement of such houses should not be more than 15 kWh per meter square in a year. So, of course, E-Lighthouse, we didn't build this project under E-Lighthouse project, but what E-Lighthouse helped us is to do an extensive monitoring of this building, and which has resulted in some interesting findings for us in Umeå. So the first one, one of the important things we noticed was the annual specific heating demand was 25.7 kWh per meter square, which is roughly 70% more than what is stipulated in the International Passy House requirement. So that means it was unable to fulfill the Passy House criteria there. And when we do go further explore that building, we found that one of the main reasons for the high energy use was due to the excessive ventilation. And we did a trial wherein the ventilation airflow was reduced by 15%, and when we did the monitoring, it was noted that the energy use was brought down to 17.5 kWh per meter square per year. And we believe that with more actions, it would be possible to bring, or it may be possible to bring the energy use of this building below 15 kWh per meter square in a year. So as a takeaway message from this project is that we require a detailed monitoring, and based on the detailed monitoring, corrective actions or adjustment may be required if we need to achieve the energy efficiency promised by such innovative buildings. So in other words, smart may not be enough. We require guidance for also there. And another project which we have done in Umeå is we call it energy visualization in municipality kitchen. So in Umeå we have about 68 kitchens owned by the Umeå municipality, which cooks or provides food for public schools, elderly facilities, and so on. So some of those kitchens are major consumers of energy as well. So in this project, the basic idea of this project is to provide feedback to the kitchen staff so that it increases their awareness related to their energy use in their kitchen and possibly help them to take actions to reduce their energy use in the kitchen. So this particular kitchen is a very new kitchen built in 2017, and almost all the appliances of this kitchen has electricity meters connected to it. And Umeå municipality has installed a 44-inch television screen connected to these electricity meters, where we get a real-time display of energy use of various appliances. So as a start of this project, 4 screens were designed with using a software Siemens control point, and which shows some of these information. For example, it shows the instantaneous and standby power of the kitchen, daily electricity use of the kitchen, comparison of the electricity use with respect to an average daily electricity use. And in addition to that, we also provided or incorporated a smiley or emojis as an additional feedback to the kitchen staff. So this one is the display unit which was provided, which can be easily seen by all the kitchen staff there. So this is one example, or one of the screens or the slides that will be shown in the screen there, which will be displayed at the time almost when the kitchen is about to close for the day. And in the screen you can see a lot of different information. For example, the average the electricity use for a given day, for example, this one. And then, based on the electricity use of that kitchen for a given day, if, for example, if the kitchen is consuming less electricity than the average, then a screen like this will be shown with a smiley face and with a small comment as to reassure that kitchen staff that they're doing very good work. And on the other hand, if the kitchen for some reason on a given day is not working or below the average, then another screen will be shown with a sad smiley, and also the rating can be seen here, it can be dropped again. Yeah, I'm finishing. So, and then this is being done on a trial basis, and Umeå municipality is keeping on working on this project and trying to improve it further. And in March 2019, we did a small survey of the kitchen staff, which is this particular kitchen employs 10 staff there. So we did a questionnaire survey, and the initial feedback from the kitchen staff was that the energy display is positive in terms of influencing or making them aware about their energy use. So we believe that this project is going well. And these are the main adventures for E-Lighthouse project in Umeå. And here is our Captain Umeå. So yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you. So now we will have 28 minutes for coffee break. I'm sorry, there's no popcorn. I should have done it because it was asked twice on the morning because we are in the movie theater. But there's some coffee for you, fikas and kahvit, as we say in Oulu. So 10:30 we will start again.
Kiitoksia.
Kiitoksia.
Hyvä, minä olen lähtenyt kammittamaan. Joo, ei. Suomalaiset osaa, te osaatte ihan hyvää englantia. Suomalaiset hirveästi vaan niin kuin häpeilee omaa kieltään. Suomalaiset osaa ihan hyvää tekin mukaan luettua. Kiitoksia.
Kiitoksia. Hyvä puheenvuoro.
Joo, kiitos.
Mukava kuulla oikeastaan kaikkien kaupunkien tavoitteita ja millä tavalla asioista puhutaan. Tämä on hyvä.
Joo. Me kahdella laitetaan Facebookiin, että kun katsotaan mikä on meidän tämmöinen iso kuva kestävästä kehityksestä. Me ollaan liikennettä parannettu, me ollaan pyöräilyä parannettu, me tiivistetään kaupunkiasumista, me poltetaan jäte, me vaihdetaan se turvekin aikanaan sitten niin kuin tehty biopolttolaitos.
On rakentamisen
USB. Me ymmärretään täällä kyllä. Niin, jos meillä on kuitenkin sitten niin, kun se on tapsi.
We are not. Tomorrow is another location. Yeah, but I can take. I have a executive computer. Yeah, I can take.
We're partners in this project. Okay, yes, and we've been looking at. All right.
Yes.
Save it here.
Yes. That's it.
No, between Tromsø.
Okay, yeah, sure. Tromsø are Alta is our sister city.
I can do it.
Yeah, I know.
In the early morning tomorrow. If you need the papers.
Yes, I have made
Yes.
some keywords.
Yeah.
So I would like to have it on paper.
When do you need it? Tomorrow or?
Yes, yes. If tonight.
Yeah, but do you work at the studio or the
My workplace is just on here. I can
Have you seen our college?
I can give it to you tomorrow morning. That's all.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, you and I take both on this.
Yes.
Good. Yeah. Glad to hear that. We try to rule it because we are so far away. Like you are also from Oslo. And we are from Helsinki and Brussels, where the decisions are made. We have increased our visibility. We go there personally, of course.
No, but the impression of Auro is definitely that you are.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
USB-C. Mä oon nyt ostanut tällaisen 2 metriä pitkän erottavan. Tässä on väärä. Ei, onko siinä väärä? No sitten on ne hampaat. Oiskohan Heidillä? Ei se niin väliä ihan toinen. Mutta ajattelin vaan tossa siis jos löytyy se kaapelijohto, varmasti on joo, vai kenellähän olisi samanlainen?
Minkä suuntaan voisi oikeasti kysyä?
Kyllä tämä tästä pienten alankeuksien jälkeen.
Katsoo vain kotihuituakin, aika moni puhuja, niin ei tiedä 5-8 oikeasti niin lähetä, että peukku täällä heukkaa.
Joo, ja sitten välillä se oli silleen 0,5 metrin päässä, ettei kun mittaa vaikka pisti täpöille. Siksi mä en ihan niitä kapuloita yksin katsella. Mä yritän piilottaa.
Mä oon yleensä asiakkaalle niin sillä, että kun mä oon peukalon leuassa, niin silloin se on tarpeeksi lähellä.
Niinpä.
Ja sitten monella lähtee kyllä tällainen.
Ja varsinkin kun pää kääntyy, niin se jää tähän ja sitten kaikki mahdolliset.
Kurjen kauloja käytetty kans tossa puhujan pöntössä, sillä on myös ihan sama ongelma kuin puhuja kumminkin, se ei aina usko sitä omaa näyttöä, vaan pitää katsoa kankeelta, on sillä samaa varmasti.
Se on pitää tietää, että joku nyt sitten miten siinä puhutaan. Se ei niitä ole silleen kokemusta, niin se on aina vähän semmoista.
Kyllä se pitää neuvoa asioita. No vähän riippuu miten on kokenut, kotipeltoa ei tarvinnut neuvoa.
Ei varmasti. Niinpä. Ammattilaiset eri. Mä en vasta nähnyt. Kaikista hauskin kautta toisaalta niinkö masentavia. Oliko?
Joo, kato oma
hyvinkö?
Yksi
herra otti yhden seminaarin kerran. On sama kuin sen panna. Tosi missä on se kunnon panto tänne. Niin se on se sama suu eteen, mutta se on kyllä jännästi laittanut tästä kalju yli panna. Onko se oikeasti kirjaimellisesti pantapäin? Tarkoitus on laittaa niskan takkaan tuoltava korvaan. Mä tajua miten se sai sen pikkuisen loppuun. Niin naurita pitää kivan näkyy.
Stillistä huomaa tuon pumppaamisen se lampu. Liikkuessa kuvassa tuo ei sellainen.
Meillä on muuten catchboxia päällä. Se ei takapa kukaan, kun minä en Jori. Teki tallenne.
Ja vaihtui lampun toimittaja Osramista LTX, niin mistä vähän heikompi laatus. Tuo pumppaa nimittäin.
Niin joo, pientä tuommoista koko ajan.
No kun tässä salissa on 4,5 kiloinen ja 1000 tuntia käyttötunteja.
Alkaa se näkymään.
Niin, ei tuo vähän yli puolen välin käyttöjä, mutta ei tuo niin. Köysessä on 6,5 kiloinen ja 500 tuntia, josta ensimmäiset 50 tuntia on mikä hyvää sitten sillä.
Tarkistettu Ollen numero. Onko se oikein?
En tiedä, millä laserpikit tulee näin. Onko siitä mitään tietoa?
Niitä on meillä ketjussa, mutta nyt viime viikolla oli ketjujohtaja täällä käymässä ja se puhuu niin tämmöistä, että kun on vähän yli 10 vuotta vanha teatteri, että tämmöistä faceliftiä pitää tehdä, että miten se ykkösen laserit tehdään sillä 3D niin ihan uudella lampulla, se on ok, mutta vanhalla lampulla. Niin
joo, joku se viikon.
Se vie niin hirveästi valokuvaa, tai tarvitsee tuplat. Siellä on väripyörä.
Niin, ja se on 3D, on tosi hankala.
Ja sitten lasit vie.
Sekin oli tommonen aika pienellä niinku sisällöllä. Niin
se on vähän tämmöisiä spurtteja, välillä lepattaa enemmän, välillä aika.
Ja tietysti englanniksi tekeminen aina hidastaa omalla.
Tuollakin on filmiprojee-aikaa, sillä kokeiltiin semmoisella, tuohan johtuu siitä kun ollaan niin pohjoisessa, niin se pyrkii lepattaa magneettista pohjoisnappaa kohti se valokaari. Sitä on semmoisella pienillä magneetilla siellä, sinne, niin kuin siellä on parabolinen peili, niin sinne kehälle niin kuin koettu.
Viime hetkellä mä oon sitten varovana.
Varovana sitä, mutta ei se oikein toimi.
Joo.
Sinä olet se 3. vaihtoehto.
Joo, tai sitten sitä Terppukin on tullut pikahelpoksi.
Mikä se on? Joo. Se on ottanut luottaa, kun se kupen kautta striimataan, kun se näytti, että kaikki on ihan ok ja vittiin valoa kovaksi ja lähetys mennä, mutta kun jääty toi niin preview, tai itse asiassa lähetyskuva tuossa tupessa, mutta sitten koitin katsoa kännykällä, mutta ei tänne tuu mitään. Kuitenkin kaikki näyttää olevan ok, missä ei herjaa niin kuin täällä pääsee. Noin niin, oli unohtunut kun kauhea kiire, niin Jupille, kun piti olla julkinen, niin onpa kummako ei näkynyt. Sitten meikä puuttaa täällä koneen ja kaikki. Ja samalla tavalla näkyy hyviä. Sitten, että hetkinen, onkohan jäänyt edellisen keissin takia niin hitteniksi, niin sitten pupukki päälle ja rupesin. Otin sitten laatuun, niin katsoin siitäkin, kun täällähän uppis vaan jotakin 20. Näytti olevan, kun pitäisi olla kuitenkin lähempänä 100, että saa HD silleen ihan niin oikeesti nykimättä. Toisaalta kun se eilen sitten, mä kokeilin eri kanavalla, niin se meni HD näkyy ihan mukisemasta. Mutta mikä sinne tänne asti se menee, niin osa se meni. Tai vitsi se on enää 3 kertaa, toista kertaa se katkaista poikki.
Mikä sulla on aikataulu?
No ei mitään.
Tänä päivänä.
Todettu monesti, kun pitäisi olla vähintään puoli päivää tästä kiireeltä niin rakentamista ja että kaikki pystyy oikeasti katsomaan, niin se siinä asiaa muuten. Kun eilen käytin testaa, kaikki toimii, sitten puretaan, sitten tunti vajaa aikaa aamulla ja sitten joku ääni pyssyy silleen ja siihen sitten laittaa kaikki sen kuulun, niin jää just kuitenkin niitä käppäilystä.
Se sairastuu.
Joskus aina laittamatta.
Sähän voit esitellä itseäsi enemmän, niin minun tarvitsee.
No mä sanon.
Puhua niin paljon.
Muutaman sanan en mä tiedä. Taas naurattaa, kun auton katastrofi.
On tuo niin hankala.
Tehostin ja muutamia reikiä hitsata ja joka vuosi monta sapaa.
Mä pääsin joku vuosi sitten, että mä olin ajan uudestalla autolla.
Mä näin kohta kutsun noin.
Joo, mä voisin tietysti ottaa tosta headsetin itselleni käyttöön.
Tästäpä niitä löytyy. Tuosta pannaan vaikka virtakin päälle, mutta pannaan muteelle vielä tässä vaiheessa.
Joo.
Elikkä painat sitten tosta yhden kevyesti.
Okei.
Syttyy vihreäksi ja sitten tänne tulee nyt. Korvan taakse.
Hei mä katson aikatauluja sitä. Mulla on tällainen 5 minuutin oranssi.
Katsotaan,
niin.
Mulla on hankala toi 0,5 tunnin aikataulu aihe huomioida. Katsotaan. Koitetaan
No
lyhentää sen mukaan, mitä näyttää.
No, mä näytän tätä kun 5 minuuttia on ja sit mä alan huitoa tuolla jossakin vaiheessa. Niin Mutta vasta, jos sä haluat, että mä sanon aikaisemmin mitä aikaa on kulunut, niin...
Ei mitään hätää varmaan. Niin. Mä pistän yleensä aina puhelimeen, mistä
no
mä näen
niin.
kellon sitten. Mikä
hyvä. Mäpä kutsun siitä lounaasta.
Kannattaa vähän lähemmäs suuta taitella se mikki. Ei ihan huulta.
Niin tarvii ihan suusa olla kiinni, mutta silleen just suuta kohti vähän. Nyt näyttää jo silleen.
On vähän rimpula.
Joo, vähän on. Olisiko se nyt aika hyvä? No, niin.
Joo, se on kassassa ja ravintolassa. Joo, tiedän. Otetaanpa siihen.
Niin joo, varmasti, mutta verrattuna Induspäin. Milloin muuten, sillähän oli vielä ihan SD-kamaa, mistä ne olisi tullut. Onhan se nyt ollut ihan SD-kamaa silloin, kun se tuli taloon. 17 vuotta olisi ollut. Niin kuin leffamatku. Milloin HD on tullut?
Niin eihän se meni filmistä suoraan tuohon.
Niin no sit, niin joo, niin tietenkin. Sitten tuli jo HD niinku diginä. Niinpä.
Se on 2K. Ja sitten tuli 4K.
Niin no niin tietenkin. HD voi saada niin väliin.
Freimejähän tuli tuo iframe rate, se on kanssa ykkösessä mahdollista, mutta ei ole tullut oikeastaan muuta kuin ne fobiin.
Mä en ikinä ois lämmennyt. Jotenkin saippua operan näköistä. Se on raivostuttavan katsoa.
Niin on, ja kaikki huomioihin ja kaikki näkyy.
Eilen laitoin tulemaan esitysjoukkoista tuolla.
Se on esitys siellä valmiina.
Loistavaa.
Ei tarvitse
Tämän halusin vain
tietää. Hyvä, se on.
No niin,
alkaa semmonen 300 gigaa olla.
Aika jäätävä.
Ei hirveästi mahdollista. Kuuntelen älläriä, jos soitaakin.
Joo.
Joo, löytyy sinunkin.
Niin, että sen pystyy, ei, mä tarkoitan, että pystyy toista lukemaan.
Juu, näkee suunnilleen, missä mennään. Ei tarvitse kukaan tänne ylös.
Okay, we will continue for the second part of the seminar, and we will continue with our 30 minutes keynote speakers. And the first one here is Harri Heinaro, who is senior expert in building energy efficiency and energy audits.
Yep.
And comes from Motiva company, where he has been working since the year 2014.
Yes.
So, welcome, and the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for the invitation to come and speak about buildings and their key role towards meeting sustainable development goals. Like I was introduced, my name is Harri Heinaro. I come from a company called Motiva, and just a few words about Motiva in first. We are a state-owned company. We have around 50 people working at Motiva, and we are working towards sustainable Finland, so that we are actually basically giving information about sustainable decisions for consumers, companies, municipalities, and sustainability information about like food, energy efficiency, material efficiency, resource efficiency, renewable energy, and so on, smart mobility. So we do kind of a lot of different kind of information campaigns and education and so on. So that's a kind of short description about Motiva. If you want to know more, just come and ask me during the lunch break also. But it kind of can be said that buildings and construction are in the heart of society. There are some EU directives that affect buildings and sustainability that set goals on a EU level. Of course, Finland has its own strategies, like energy and climate strategy that has its own goals for sustainability, and also internationally, the UN agenda, Sustainability Development Agenda 2030, has its own goals, which actually are pretty good goals and good terms for sustainability. And in this picture, you can see 6 different elements from that UN agenda that actually we thought that directly concern building and construction sector. So sustainable cities, climate actions, responsible production and consumption, affordable green energy, clean and water and sanitation, and good health and well-being. But actually, you could add even more, like employment, social welfare, and many more other that are pretty related sustainable development goals. And that's actually a quite large term. So I'm actually going to talk about energy and CO2 emissions, Finnish buildings. The share of energy use is around 32% of the energy use in Finland, and they produce about 30% of our carbon dioxide emissions, which are corresponding to what we actually saw much before. And they are the main drivers and goals which can be measured directly and are easily measured and followable. But actually, there are many other things in sustainable goals that can be also said, like the building and construction sector is a major employer. Around 500,000 people in Finland work in this sector, so there's a lot of employment in this sector. The value of the building stock is around 500 billion euros at the moment, and actually it's very important that this value is kept up by renovating the buildings and keeping good health of the buildings. More about the Finnish building stock. As you can see in this picture, from the bars, most of the Finnish building stock has been built before 1990s, and big share of it actually has been built in the 70s, 60s, 40s, and 50s. And this actually means that a lot of the building stock is coming to an age that it needs to be renovated in next to 5 to 10 years. And this actually sets a lot of challenges that needs to be met in the renovation sector. Of course, it also gives us an opportunity that the buildings should be renovated to meet the sustainable goals, like as energy efficient as possible, and also as carbon neutral as possible. But that's a big challenge, of course, and I think that's also found out throughout EU level that's a big challenge. Of course, this also brings a lot of employment and business possibilities for the future. But I think the challenge might be there also, that where all the workers might be found for the renovation projects. And the other thing that you can see from this picture is that the red bar and the greenish bars tells you that those are the residential buildings that actually you can see from this slide and the before slide that they actually make most of our building stock in the residential sector, and that's actually the hardest sector to renovate the buildings. They need a lot of advice. There might not be the money to renovate those buildings, and that sets a lot of challenges. The commercially owned properties, which have also a big role, I think are in a good path towards future. I've seen actually this from 2008, that the commercial building owners are actually finding out that sustainable, good quality buildings can bring up value for the building. So the building value goes up. So they have recognized actually that and have started to do a lot of measures and renovate their buildings. And I think that side is in pretty good path in Finland, and they are recognizing also that it might even bring up the value of the company itself. Okay, so a lot of challenges. Fortunately, from the directives, we have kind of challenge to make a long-term renovation strategy to 2050. And our Ministry of Environment started a project called REMPA, which will put a strategy for 2050 for energy efficient and low carbon building stock. And the idea behind this project is that, of course, it will meet the requirements of the EPBD directive, Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, but we would also very much like to see, as a product of this program or project, that it serves our needs, our national needs, so that the renovation rate picks up, especially on the residential sector. The aim of the strategy is to have a status of building stock, have a roadmap for the renovation process itself for the 2050. Then we need some policies, actions, and advice, which actually are the parts that Motiva will be doing in this strategy. The policies might involve some kind of programs in the future for the renovation processes, and it might need some financial instruments in the future, like perhaps some kind of subsidies. And we need to evaluate the current renovation advice structure that we have in Finland, how it could be improved, how it could get better advice, especially to the consumers and also to the municipalities. And actually, we also are going to evaluate or look up some good examples from other EU countries for their programs, if they have some good programs for renovation programs, and what good practices they have. And actually, as we have some international people here, I would like to ask and encourage you that come and speak to me or contact us if you know some good practices of renovation strategies or renovation programs in your country. We would be very delighted to hear about them and learn about what kind of results and what kind of good practices you have in your country. So come and talk to me in the lunch break or something like that, and I would like to hear if you have such good practices. But the building strategy itself will be done by Motiva, VTT, and Tampere University of Applied Sciences. But I'd like to point out that it will be done in cooperation with the stakeholders in Finland, with different target groups. We try to involve the whole building sector, financial sector, so that we can get the best practices and good examples and good working models, how we get the whole strategy to work actually in Finland and get the things done really. So that will be, we will be holding a lot of many work groups sessions. So let's see how we can involve the whole building sector in this. But we will try our best. Then about energy efficiency investments in itself and its meaning in the whole sector. This is a picture from IEA Energy Efficiency Report. As you can see, energy investments to buildings actually is the most biggest sector. It's over 2 times more than transportation investments, and even almost 4 times more than the industrial sector. So actually, if you talk about sustainability, energy efficiency investments, of course, bring sustainable solutions into the buildings, and you can see that it's actually going on very well, and it's a very important thing in the investment sector also. We did a little survey or report to our energy authority just last year, and about financing in energy efficiency in Finland. And actually, there's a lot of financing and financing available, and different kinds of funds for energy efficiency investments throughout the sector. Expect households, which only have actually the tax credit for households as a subside for renovation and energy investments. So that is something that is actually a big gap in Finland, I think, that needs to be looked into. I know that, for example, the banking sector is quite interested in energy investments in renovation in building sector and especially residential sector. There are some pilot programs going on where they are trying to find some like green loans for households to renovate the buildings into more energy efficient. But there aren't any large-scale projects at the moment or large-scale renovation loans available for household at the moment in energy efficiency. Of course, there are common household loans available, but not energy efficiency loans at the moment. So that's one thing that needs to be looked into, and a very important thing that the renovation rates could pick up in the future. Then a little bit about energy production and its link to the buildings. Here you can see 2 figures. The other one is space heating by energy source, and the other one is electricity generation by energy source. If you look at the left side picture, you can see that district heating is actually very high in Finland. It has around 50% of the markets of space heating. And actually, if you think about multifamily houses and other commercially owned properties, actually the number is much higher. Could be around 70% for the housing companies and commercial property owners, because those buildings usually are situated in city centers, which have good district heating networks. So actually, one of the main things about sustainability and energy production is that the district heating is going CO neutral. At the moment, the rate is 46%. And the CO2 emissions actually are declining year by year in a good rate. But there's a lot of investment and needed for future productions. Like we heard that the Oulu city is investing into into a few wood production. And one thing actually from the district heating side is that some of the energy utilities are opening up their energy networks, district heating networks, so that the buildings or other places can sell their excess heat to the district heating network, and that is actually one of the solutions, so that the excess heat, recovered heat, can be sold into the network. But that actually is just piloted on a residential level at the moment. There are a few places that where it's piloted, like in Tampere and Helsinki and Espoo. And the energy utilities themselves actually are thinking about digitalization, offering customers digital services, how they could improve their indoor air quality at the same time, and this heating system quality and control by measuring all the apartments with the measurements, so that it's also included into the weather forecast, so that the controls can take into account the weather forecast and apartment measurements, and optimize the heating system control by those measurements. And also by that they gather information about the buildings and how they could actually be part of the demand side market of the district heating systems. Of course, as you can see, there's a lot of electricity on space heating. Mainly it's about single family houses and heat pumps. And that is one of the things that needs some kind of solutions, how the electricity is generated as much as possible with renewable or CO neutral energy sources. On the right side, you can see how much different energy sources are producing electricity at the moment. This picture doesn't have the net import that comes from other countries than Finland. It's just the electricity generation in Finland. Few interesting things are that wind power is around 10%. Solar power at the moment in 2018 was 0.2%, which isn't that big reading at the moment, but actually that is increasing year by year. And recently I saw an Aalto University study which actually said that solar power and PV panels should be are very economically viable for buildings, especially commercial properties, but also, at least in Helsinki at the moment, also for the residential buildings, it would be very economically viable to get solar power into the building roofs. And by this, actually, buildings are becoming themselves producing energy in the future. So that actually needs a lot of work on the electricity grid side, so that it can be very flexible towards these new renewable energy sources like solar power. Coal is on 9%, and that is actually, we have some good news that coal will be banned as an energy source in Finland, or is banned actually, but it will happen in 2029. So that will be out of the picture by 2029. And the renewables percentage for electricity generation is around 47% at this moment. You can actually say that carbon dioxide free is around 80%, but that includes nuclear power too, and that's a bit somehow controversial if you ask some people. At Motiva, we are trying to promote solar energy. We have a campaign that ran last year and will run this year too. The objective is, of course, to raise consumer interest into electricity PV panels and make it as easy as possible actually to purchase the PV panels. There are providers, electricity PV panel providers, participating in this campaign. They have provided offers for a certain size of PV panel systems for a fixed price a turnkey price, so it includes all the investments need to into the residential certain size PV panel system, and then you can compare different prices and see how much it should be cost. And of course, you can contact the providers through our website, and we have step-by-step directions for how you should acquire PV panels. So this is a campaign that was actually just done in Helsinki by another Helsinki region energy unit, but it moved to Motiva just last year, and now it's a national campaign. Then about buildings and mobility. I can't say that I am a building expert, mobility expert, but we actually promote mobility in Motiva, smart mobility, public transportation, biking, walking. Those are things that we are trying to promote, so that because transportation actually is very much one of the reasons why carbon dioxide emissions are high, and it needs solutions how it could be reduced on the transportation sector. How I would connect it to the buildings. Of course, when you are designing a new area, you have to think about how the buildings are achieved through transportation, public transportation, and bikes and walking. But actually, the buildings themselves can act as a promoter of biking and public transportation. Like if you have good biking facilities in your residential building or your office, actually enables biking and promotes biking. Our own office actually is a good example of this, so that when we moved to our new office just last year, the good biking facilities and the biking lane that goes pretty much by our building was one of the reasons that we chose the office that we are actually now, and it has increased the biking rate of our people that are working in our company, because the building has very good facilities, so you can store your bike in the facilities very easily. They are easily accessible, and also you can even maintain your bike in those facilities. There's a different room for repairing your bike, and so you can come in the outside office hours and repair your bike in our office building. And so mobility is very much and transportation connected to the buildings. They can promote even a sustainable way of mobility. Looking into the future, a few things, but first into the past and through the new current situation. We have this program called Energy Efficiency Agreements that different municipalities, companies can join into voluntarily. They of course have to set some targets which they have to meet, so energy saving targets. They have to report their yearly energy consumption, and also the energy efficiency means that they are actually doing in their works. And this has been one of our main ways to meet out energy efficiency targets that are set on EU level, and it has worked very well. What I've heard from the second period of our energy efficiency agreements, Finland was actually one of the few countries that was actually meeting the set EU targets for energy efficiency, and most of those savings came from our energy efficiency agreements. How this links to the building sector? Well, building owners, property owners are one of part of this program. They can join into the program voluntarily, and actually their savings aren't that big in this whole program, but actually we wouldn't have met our targets without the building sector. So they are an important part of this program, and of course it has brought us annual CO2 emission reductions investments into energy efficiency, and of course energy savings. And the future, what I'm bringing about this is that the next level EU set targets are actually harder than the current the period that was before, and we have some challenges about meeting those targets, and if we can meet it with those energy efficiency agreements. And for that, actually, our Ministry of Economy and Employment started a working group that included building sector, industry, different energy utilities, consumer associations, transportation, and all different sectors working together about thinking about how can we improve the energy efficiency means, how can we meet those targets, what kind of programs and means we need that we can still meet the targets with the energy efficiency agreements, and what other programs are needed to boost our energy efficiency in the future. And that is a good example actually how Finland is actually working together in cooperation. So our government is working with the companies, associations, and different kind of players together to see how can we actually meet the set targets and goals in the future. And that's I've heard that is quite common in Europe, that even the government and different companies can talk freely and see how they can work together. Okay, which brings me actually to the conclusions from this slide. I can say that on the building sector, we've seen from those working groups, which will be reporting at the next autumn, the results, how we could improve. So actually, energy management was one of the things, and I saw that there was some solutions in your programs already for that. So that was one of the building sector problems, that energy management needs to be much more efficient in the future, and certain programs need to be taken into account. There's a lack of knowledge about renovation, and the renovation rates needs to pick up. That was also one of the things. And then there's also lack of workforce, knowledgeable workforce that actually could do the energy efficiency means and other sustainable investments in the future. And to the conclusions, so there are many challenges. Residential renovation rates need to pick up. Energy production needs to move into renewables. There's a need for education, and especially in the building sector. There are especially some sectors that need more. Just heard from the cooling sector that they have around 200 people, 2,000 people, lack of people in next 5 years in workforce. So actually, there's a dire need for new workforce in the cooling sector, and so the need for new workforce in the building sector is actually pretty much high. But there are some solutions. We are pretty confident that the long-term renovation strategy will bring up good solutions and programs perhaps in the future, so that the renovation rate will pick up. Digitalization will help in the renewable energy production and demand side of energy utilities. We have a working energy efficiency agreement program, which is done in good cooperation between different parties and the government. So on that, I like to very much to see that the future is bright and sun is shining in the future when we have sustainable buildings. And as you can see in the middle, I could say that that's a kind of a sustainable building. It's a summer cottage, but it has been actually brought from other side, so it's actually a renewable. It has been recycled from another building and built up in that site, brought up there. So it's kind of and wood, so it's in itself a sustainable building. Thank you.
Thank you, Harri. And as Harri said, so if there's any questions to Harri, please, you can contact Harri maybe on the lunch time. Okay, sorry. And then we will move on to the renovation models with the near zero energy buildings. And we have here Terttu Vainio, who is working as a senior scientist at the VTT. VTT is the Technical Research Center of Finland. Welcome.
Thank you. And welcome from my side too. So I will summarize another EU project, EU Kukle. This short name comes from words European cities serving as green urban key towards leadership in sustainable energy. And in this project, its focus has been in deep renovation of residential buildings. It has been a 6-year project and it will end in this week. We have had in it 6 cities: Aachen from Germany, Bratislava from Slovak, Milan from Italy, Sestao from Spain, Vienna from Austria, and Tampere from Finland. And we renovated altogether 33 case buildings. And all these buildings had quite high primary energy saving target. Even this building, they had quite similar renovation concepts. So reduction of heat losses and improvement of energy efficiency and recycling energy and utilization of free renewable energy. So there's been new windows, new thermal insulation layer, heat recovery from waste air and wastewater, building energy management systems, home energy management systems, PV panels and ground source heat pumps. And I think that all these measures have been done in all cities, but not all buildings. Even they had quite similar renovation concepts. They had quite different starting point. For example, these climate conditions. In our project, we had cities Sestao and Milan. They are located in warm and sunny Mediterranean area. And then we have this cool and cloudy Tampere in northern Finland. And this there is this red point. So here we have in this left-hand side picture, we have temperatures in January and August. And it is measured by heating degree days. So in Sestao, this temperature is always above 0, but in Tampere we have this below 0 days in January. And then we have this horizontal solar radiation. Of course, there is a lot of solar radiation in Sestao and Milan, but also in Tampere because we have these light summer nights, as you well know. But it is pity that then we don't need so much energy than we need in those dark winter days. There is always these weeks and even months that there is no sunshine at all, no solar radiation can be utilized. And then those buildings, what we renovated, has different performance before renovation. For example, in Bratislava and Sestao, buildings were very bad shape. In this right-hand side, we have the Sestao building, and it looks like that it needs this demolished. But it is listed building, so it is not allowed to do that. Then we have quite nice buildings. This is from Vienna, this is from Germany. They look outside quite nice. And then there is this Tampere building. So this starting point was different in different cities and their buildings. Also, what was different was this ownership. Buildings in Bratislava, Sestao and Tampere were owner occupied, and in Aachen, Milan and Vienna tenant occupied. And then there was these challenges, listed buildings, and in some countries there is not at all any maintenance culture. And then these tenants' rights, they are quite strong. I think that people from Sweden know that very well. I think that I feel that tenants' rights were in Germany and in Austria, they were more strong than in Finland owners' rights what comes to renovation decisions. And of course these rental houses, they had this shared benefit dilemma. In many countries this rent has this cold rent and warm rent, so that when someone invests to the building, the benefit goes to this who is living there. And in some countries they had also problem with immigrants. So there was a lot of people speaking different languages. For example, in Germany, the German language guidance and communication was not enough. They had to translate all this in many languages. And also politics. It also was challenge in our project. And then I go through these cities. First Aachen from Germany. It is very old historical city, has very glorious history. So they had these 4 buildings, and they had these measures: thermal insulation, new windows, they built new district heating network, they installed heat pumps and PV panels and building energy management systems, so that they could have this 70% saving in primary energy. So they had special challenges with listed buildings. This building in this picture is one of them. So they could do something, for example, change windows, but they not was allowed to install PV panels to this building. And they had this very difficult, this shared benefit problem with residents, because they could have this kind of doctor betyg, it is something, so that they could deny that this renovation are not, they were so against that they could stop renovation work for some reason. They had those immigrants and language problems there, so they had to teach this energy-saving way of living in starting from ABC to those immigrants. And they built this district heating network, and they had this heat recovery system from aerial several network. Bratislava, Aachen built a district heating network, but Bratislava, they disconnected this building from district heat, because in Bratislava they use fossil fuels, and their district heating network is in very bad condition. There is a lot of leaks, so this district heat is it is polluting, but also it is very expensive. So they wanted to make this building as self-sufficient as possible. So they have these measures like thermal insulation, windows, disconnection from district heating network. They had heat recovery, heat pumps, PV panels, and very advanced building energy management systems. So they controlled this building so that they try to avoid those peak price hours, so that they made this hot water in accumulator, so that they used it when the electricity price was high, and also they used this PV panels electricity, of course, and they got this 90% saving in primary energy, and this case was one of these most profitable cases. In Milan, and this was similar scenario than Aachen, so they built this district heat network and they connected buildings to it, and also had thermal insulation, windows, heat recovery, heat pumps, PV panels, cooling, and so on, and also 90% saving in primary energy. And special challenge in Finland was this politicization. They had local government what was very green, but then they had these local elections, and the next government was not so green anymore. So they had to fight against city that they could carry out this renovation. And of course, this city has the word to say, because these are this rental building of Milan city. So they put a lot of effort to indoor comfort, because those buildings, if you have been in Italy in summertime in hotel without cooling, you know that they can be very, very, very hot, but also they are very cold in winter time. So they try to have better indoor comfort both in summertime and winter time. And this Sesto, now we have this building in its new shape after renovation. So it is rebuilt. It has this visual. It looks like what it has been in 1 century ago or something, but inside it is very modern, and they used in Sesto very innovative solution. They had innovative financing concept. They had very innovative home energy management system, and they built this aerial district heating network, and they produce heat to these buildings by biomass. And this looks that it is rendered building, but inside it has wooden structures, and it was very important thing in Sestao. And also they have this grey water recycling system, and when they are renovating, they have now these 5 buildings, but they are renovating in that area many other buildings, so this will mean very much to this area and value of that area altogether, to have instead that bad shaped building this kind of nice looking building. And in Tampere, as you have seen or may see today, in Finland we have quite a lot those prefabricated panel buildings and suburbs. I think those are familiar. I've seen those buildings in Sweden, for example. So what we have done, I think in Finland it is not any innovative that we have this thermal insulation and we are changing windows and all these things. But what we did something new in Tampere, we rolled out to the market affordable ventilation and heat recovery technology. So we have some companies who get their first case or first contract in these EU Cooklet buildings, and after these first cases they have done a lot of buildings in Tampere and in other cities in Finland. Also we tested and had this first very simple heat recovery system from wastewater. And Vienna, they had 18 buildings, so they had quite wide palette of measures what they have tested. There are those typical extra insulation layer, windows, central heating, heat recovery, PV, and so on. But they also tested very special measures. Like this one is case where renovation has been financed by new attic apartments. They tested prefabricated cap facade which consists glass, wood and PV panels. Then they tested aerogel insulation and sun protection system, and also they built in one case green roof and roof gardening. It was some kind of senior house which has this green roof. And the last slide of my presentation is this, that it is always said that these energy efficiency projects are very expensive and they do not pay back. And yes, it is, and it is always question how much of this renovation budget is targeted to energy efficiency improvement. But in these cases, in Bratislava and Aachen, this payback time is 13 years, and it includes taxes and excludes subsidies. And in both of them, they have put effort to technical service systems and utilization of free energy. And they both have quite high primary energy savings. And in Tampere, this payback time is only 9 years, also including taxes, excluding subsidies, and their strategy was to invest heat pump technologies. They had exhaust air and fresh air heat pump. So this is the way how to make an energy efficiency investment profitable. So if you like to know more about our cases, they can be found from our project website. Thank you.
Thank you. We have now, if there's any questions, maybe we can take one. Yeah, I will repeat.
And you can also use this microphone for the audience.
Oh, okay. No, it's for the streaming. It's
before and after. We have a wrong side.
You can throw it.
It should be vice versa. Energy consumption before and after renovation. There was some mistake, but you will correct it.
Okay. Too late.
Too late.
Yeah, it's just for the streaming, so no.
Somebody knows what you're saying. So thank you, Terttu. We will continue our presentations. And we will have here Klaus Kansa, who is also a senior research scientist from VTT, but from Oulu. Getting back to home. Closer and closer. And he's telling us about the AIDS 2020 Making City project.
Onko sulla?
Ei, on mulla sulla koneessa, en mä sitä saa sulle nyt. Käytetään Se varmaan jotenkin saa tuntua sinne. Se pitäisi yrittää tulla päivän. Kyllä se pitäisi kovat se sitten vaan rupeaa. No, ei varmaan. Vähän kalvot.
No niin.
So yeah, just a short introduction. I'm also working for VTT, which you probably know, and I'm coming from the local VTT office site, which is located on the technology park here in the city of Oulu. And I've been working with energy-related topics around 15 years now. Also having lots of project collaboration with different partners around Finland and abroad. And I'm going to give you a short introduction about the project we launched or started recently. This is EU Lighthouse project, which is supposed to be active 5 years and started just in last year, December. And I just tell some of the highlights of the project, some of the goals of the project, and some other stuff which is loosely related to this work I've been doing. So my presentation is in PDF format, so I had to scroll up and down, but I hope this won't be a problem here. So the project is called Making City. It can be found from the project database of EU, so if you want to have some more basic information, you can go and look it out of there. The project is about positive energy districts, PADs, which is something that the EU wants to push forward very strongly, and so they want to have sites in Europe doing this kind of strategies, and they want to have in 5 years they want to have 100 sites over Europe having this kind of approach. So yeah, it goes on. Okay, this is too fast for me, this computer. Okay, so PAD is actually a region or area of city or some other place which has got a positive annual energy balance. That means that it may have some extra production, where, let's say on the warmer days or summertime, and then in the autumn and in the winter time it may have some energy exported, but in total the balance should be like positive. So it means that in here in Nordic countries we should have some extra production in the summer, and then we may try to live on with that, and then in the winter time we can take some energy outside the area. So that makes life a little bit easier. In general, it would be very hard to build this kind of PAD district or area in our climate if we cannot calculate this annual balance here. So basically what we are doing in this project, we are building this kind of positive energy district, which I will show a little bit more detailed. And of course, the final goal is to have this kind of carbon-free district as end result. So this is some kind of intermediate goal towards this bigger goal, which is a carbon-free district. And this is actually a long-term goal. So EU wants to have city-level approaches and measures to be taken so that actually these are going into the city planning procedures. So they want to guide the city planning and building processes to this direction, so that finally this city will be consisting of PAD areas, and also in this time frame they should be totally carbon free. So this is a good goal, and we are working towards this goal in this project. Some information about the related projects in Finland. I put up on the map the project I could find and locate. So In Oulu we have got this Making City project just started. Then we have got some other places in which we have got related projects working on. And in Europe level we have got this kind of network of lighthouse city projects, which are actually accessing information and collaborating on the city level and also on the country level. So this is actually a grid network of this kind of places. And from this actually EU hopes that there will be like they will be evaluated towards this 100 sites and places in which we could have this kind of carbon-free structures in 50 years. Then we go closer to the project. So this Making City project I'm talking is about 22 million project started this year, or next, actually in the last year, lasting 5 years. We have got something like local budget about 8 million altogether, with all of the input from the company as well. The total floor area is 15,000 square meters, consisting of 200 apartments and a supermarket. So this is the site, and the mass of buildings is actually partly renovated buildings and partly new built buildings. So the two things. And the supermarket is the new built building, and it is a special structure which is able to also deliver energy from the surroundings. So this is also some kind of source of energy. All right. Then we have got these typical things like we are putting together this heat recovery, building energy modeling, ICT stuff, and so on, cooling and heating and EV. So all of the components listed down in the previous presentation are also here in our site. And then there are some new stuff which we are going to put into that as well. So we are also talking about zero energy block, which means that we are having the same scheme in a smaller scale. So one of the main things we are putting in is are listed here. So we have got this kind of local heat distribution pipeline, which is a certain type of low temperature pipeline. That means that it is, if you think about this kind of district heating pipeline system, typically the temperature level are much higher, like double of the temperature level here. And this gives us a chance to put energy back to this local system using heat pumps with a high efficiency rate. And we can also distribute the energy resources between the buildings, so we can exchange energy and have local storages on the line. And we are also driving a heat power plant which is using solar energy, and the energy is harvested from the local regional heating district pipeline and from the return side of the pipeline. So there the temperature level is typically between 30 and 40 degrees. And we are using this as an energy resource. And that makes it possible to utilize this heat stream that is going back to the heat power plant and improve the efficiency rate of the heat power plant, and also make benefit of this resource instead of using heat wells. And with this method we can increase the COP of heat pump from 5 to 6. And when we operate this heat pump system by solar energy, we can say that we are producing energy with very low carbon footprint. If you consider about the typical energy, like 1 kilowatt produced by solar, the CO2 is like roughly 32 grams per kilowatt hour. That is one of the official readouts. And when we are generating with this electricity heat from this local pipeline, we can say that our carbon footprint is 1/6 of the typical carbon footprint when we operate this heat pump from energy from the grid. So we can quite a lot reduce the emissions on that way. And we are also using an efficient storage system based on phase change materials. So we are building heat tanks that have got a very high capacity on a constant temperature. This kind of tanks can actually take the full capacity in on a constant temperature, and also they can discharge the capacity in the same temperature. That means that our efficiency rate of discharging charging will remain the same during the whole cycle, which is also very good if you think about the COP in a heat pump system. So this helps also to, let's say, to reduce the amount of energy being used in storaging, and also the energy when you are producing the heat. So this is a good way to reduce the emissions as well. And of course we are using all of the waste energy which is available on the site, so we don't spend anything or leave anything unused. And also, as a last thing, we are using that supermarket also as a source of heat power plant. With the new technology, it is possible to produce quite large number of heat as a result of cooling. So when we are using this cooling and cooling system in the supermarket, we produce lots of heat, and this heat is being used and distributed by this local pipeline. So we can use that as a heat resource and make a big benefit. Otherwise, this heat must be evaporated and we cannot use it. So this kind of arrangement gives us a possibility to use all of the extra energy resources which we have got on the site. Okay, scrolling on. So this is about the site picture. So we can see there's this circle is illustrating the pipeline combining all of the houses, and then we have got the other circle which is the data flow. So we are combining these buildings in two ways. There's a data ICT-based communication, and then there's this physical communication or connection between the buildings. And unfortunately, there are some limitations when we are dealing with electricity. So that has to be controlled. Anyway, we have got possibility to distribute and spread the heat, storage the heat, and also to work with the electricity. And as a result of this, we can create also flexibility, local flexibility, which can be used in two ways. We can use it locally, or we can sell it out for somebody who's paying money out of that flexibility. So basically, this system here will be used in order to manage the energy flows, because of course we are relying on solar-based heat and electricity. This is not available only, it is available only in the daytime. So we have to make something that is makes us possible to extend this energy to the night time, also to have a longer storage for weekly demand. So for that we are using these PCM tanks, because they can also gives us a long capacity over some days. And also we are using ICT on making prognosis about the future demands, like the next day and the day after that, based on weather reports and also based on the consumption measured on the building. And we also try to awake the awareness of the people living in these apartments by spreading out information about the energy status, the production status, and the demands, so that we hope that people will be adapting to that and avoid using energy when their consumption is very high level. That will be studied as well in the project. So this is just a site map, so you can see that the buildings are located very closely to each other. You can see the commercial building, this is the shopping mall, then you can see some buildings which are actually owned buildings, so property owners are owning these buildings, and then we have got this rental housing by Sivakka, which is also part of the site. So Sivakka buildings will be renovated buildings, and these others will be new built buildings. And from the new buildings, we just got this shopping mall opened, so it is now in full use, and we are collecting data from that already now. So what do we need to find out from the buildings? This is a map about the data flows and energy flows we had to measure. So every single building will be measured according to this. And once it will be measured, it will be also modeled, and based on the model we'll be able to actually create controllable resources. So we will control the energy flows in the area and individual buildings and make that our tool to optimize the energy reserve capacity and storage. And with that we can also create flexibility, so we can actually have a flexible society or block of flats which are able to, let's say, to help other parts of the city to manage the energy flows better. So this system can also provide like changes in the consumption profile. So we can ask this area and this building to reduce their consumption, or maybe also to increase the consumption when there is like wind energy is available in plenty. So we could ask them to take in some energy and make a storage for the following days. So it can be operated also that way. And the core in here is this kind of manageable reserve, which is created by using these storages and intelligent algorithms. All right, this is just to give you an idea about how we are doing it. So this is a picture about this basic system. Just some things to mention. So we are using open source code software everywhere. That means that we are able to give all of these codes and algorithms to anybody in the world without any vendor logs or license fees. So that is our policy. We want to deliver everything and as it is. So we are using programming tools. We are using Python and some of advanced AI tools. And the same procedure with these tools, they are also open source code. So we can deliver also the algorithms without any vendor log. And our policy is just to make it based on this. Why we are doing it this way is that once we have got everything open source, we can also ask anybody to work with this stuff without any limitations. Anybody can download the tools and start to work and develop algorithms based on the same data resources, and we can share everything. And I think we believe that the world is going this direction. I think that is the only way to make things work in the future. So in addition to these other things, we are also willing to share all of the information and knowledge which we provide during the project with any other partner. Okay, some words about the evaluation. So how do we evaluate our goals? I spent some minutes on here. So basically, all of the projects dealing with energy should be evaluated based on some criteria provided by EU. So we are talking about KPIs, and we are talking about a system called city keys. And I briefly just tell what kind of criteria will be used in the evaluation. There are basically, in our approach, basically two kinds of KPIs. There are project level, which means that these are applied to all of the partners. We have got altogether 34 partners and 2 lighthouse cities. So this level of indicators will be applied to all of the projects involved in this project system. And then these KPIs are here. So, of course, reduction in consumption, renewable energy production, CO2, and peak load reduction. The peak load reduction is something new. It is actually raised to the map by EU. EU wants to have this kind of peak load reduction because the peak loads are causing problems to the energy grids. Already now and in the future, when you are charging e-cars in larger numbers, the peak load will just collapse the whole network. So flexibility created by this kind of sites and zero energy blocks is very important in the future in order to reduce the peaks. So with this kind of manageable resources, we can actually cut down the peaks and also keep the energy networks more reliable. Also, we can avoid extra investments which are needed in order to strengthen the energy distribution networks. So this is beneficial in this way, and this is a new criteria. Of course, then ICT means that we have got to think about these things like open or real-time data is very important in the future. So I think all of the systems that are using energy in the future should be able to provide information about the consumption profile, and they also should be flexible. So in the future there will be more demands about the consuming devices. And of course there should be standard interfaces. In the current situation we don't have such thing that a standard interface. Everybody has got its own standard interface, and there are hundreds of thousands of these available in the market. So standardization is needed, and we try to bring some parts to that by opening all of the interfaces we are creating in the project. So we will create some kind of open-based platform to communicate. Okay, then more of this. This is related to EV. So we are putting EV charging platform, which is also part of the energy management system. So when we are charging the e-cars, we want to also be flexible by monitoring the charging power supply and so on, and combining it to the whole block. So that is the core idea here. That means that we may be able to optimize the use of solar energy by car charging in a situation, for instance. Then we have got city level indicators. This is interesting because this is actually a part in which EU demands and encourages cities to put all of these practices into their rules and regulations about buildings. So this is the part which should affect to the general building procedures everywhere in Europe, and change them so that they will be more environment friendly, and also to the direction that renewables are being more and more used in the future. And so on. Also in the last criteria there is also this typical parts like this payback, market demand, investment cost and such. So this is related to this part of the project final result. So you can develop very fancy systems, but if they are so expensive, nobody can actually invest them, and the payback time is 100 years, so they are totally futile for the outcome. So this should be taken into consideration when planning some new things. Okay, some words about circular energy. I don't know what is the right word for circular, but it is like using using the energy and reusing the energy. This might be of interest because the same kind of procedure are being used in our site. So we have been applying case studies over homes, public business buildings, and finally last grocery stores as well. So, and there are some key or main innovations used. For instance, heat pumps, heat wells, CO2-based system instead of air gases, and renewable energy. And as a result, like 50% reduction of the energy consumption. And to look it more closely, we have got a project about 2 shops, about the equal size. One using energy supply from solar cells, and energy management, more advanced energy management. Then another one, not using solar energy and having less advanced management system. And actually this second shop was 7 years older, design only. And average, I think that the shops are older than this. Well, some results anyway. So we can save 50% of energy bill of this kind of shopping mall. And the savings are like 200,000 euros per year. That means that the investment payback time is less than 2 years with this investment. So the extra cost is about 300,000 euros. So it's very, very good investment in this case. And as a good side, we are also able to produce some energy out of the shop, which can be delivered to the buildings in the surroundings. So this is a very good way to distribute energy. In Finland, if we calculate it together, what means this kind of energy savings, if we have got, or we actually have got 1,800 shops similar to this. And they consume together 1.1 terawatt hours of energy, electric energy, which is about almost 2% of the annual consumption in Finland. And if we use all of these, we apply all of these shops with this kind of new technology, we could have a signal reduction like 0.5, 0.4 terawatt hours of energy. And with this energy, we can actually operate all of the trains in Finland, which is quite a lot. All of the passenger trains, all of the freight trains could be operated with the savings. And this is just one of the shopping mall chains in Finland. We have got 3 others. So if we also would apply the technology to these other remaining shopping malls, we would operate or actually wipe out the total split at least this consumption. So we could save about 1 or 2 terawatt hours of energy in Finland, which is actually quite a big number. It is about 3% of total energy electrical consumption in Finland. So this is a big figure, and this could be made in a profitable way. The payback time is very short, and everybody will save money. And this actually won't change a little, actually don't affect the shops in any way. So they operate as usual. So this is just one option how to make big savings with reasonable cost and payback time. So and this has been measured. So we operate this measurement systems about 3 years now. So this is a solid figure, and actually so far about 35 shopping malls like this have been built in Finland. So everyone is a little bit better than the previous. So I think nowadays we can accept a little bit bigger savings than minus 50% already. So it really pays off to think about the new approaches, because they are good for the environment. They also make a big profit in the future. So that is our conclusion. And we are closing to 5. So if everybody has got something to ask, I would try to reply to the questions. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. I would like to ask you, are there any examples of on-site and bringing like micro wind turbines or vertical active wind turbines? And now we're always talking about EVs and heat recovery. And what's the problem with the wind turbines?
Yeah,
like
we have
small
got
scale?
we have got on our premises. We just have got this kind of vertical wind turbine which has been assembled for testing. It has got an output of 2 kilowatts. Prior to that, we have got a windmill which was operated about 10 years. So we just recently changed to that. So we are looking the results now. And also we have been using heat collectors to support this ground-based heating, and we have got the experience of that as well. So we have been using multiple renewable resources during this project.
In one of the pictures you showed, you have mentioned district cooling and district heating. Is that meant that your system have a 2-pipe system, both warm water and cooling system in the district heating?
This is interesting because it can be also one pipeline system for that.
Okay.
Because during the summer period we can also produce the domestic hot water by electricity. So we can use that in that way as well. That would reduce the building costs. So it would be nice to produce domestic hot water with solar energy, so electricity directly, and then use local heat pumps in order to cool down the system, and then we can put this extra heat to the regional pipeline system back. So that would be a very nice way to do it backwards and get benefits. So we're actually having a discussion between this all energy to how to do this business model, because it can be beneficial as well. They have to deliver heat in the summer period, and we can deliver them some extra heat. And if they pay about that, then we will gain some money and they will get the benefit. So this is also something we could think about. Yeah, no more questions. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
They install like water turbines in the wastewater systems, like outflow of wastewater generate electricity as well with water turbines in the pipelines. Those studies on that.
So you flush your toilet and you get a lamp. Yeah, okay.
Like there's a lot of toilets being flushed all the time. So.
Yeah, we haven't looked thinking about that, but we will use the waste heat of the wastewater in this manner. So we believe that that would be better. But the idea is interesting.
Yeah, it's already being implemented.
Yeah, okay. Should consider that as well. Yeah.
Two very simple questions. Is this project a part of Horizon H 2020 or is it sub-programs? And another, whose brainchild is the idea?
Brainchild?
Yeah.
Well, the project is actually an EU Lighthouse project. So it is funded by this commission and is part of this whatever 2020 or so program. So it will be going on over that. And the basic scheme actually has been developed in VTT. So the concept is actually a result of several other projects in which we have been developing parts of this approach. So now this is the first place where we actually try to put everything together.
So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm especially happy for the Klaus presentation because the shop he presented is my closest shop, is kind of my home shop, so I'm part of this energy saving. So, can you put the program, no, it's the intro, yes, that one, yes. So we will now have lunch. Lunch is offered in this Scandic Hotel. It's a buffet. There's a list of participants. Please have your name tags with you when you are going to Scandic Hotel, and you can put the name to the list over there. I think it's on the desk somewhere. Yes, so it should be fine. But there's some practical things going on because we have at 1 o'clock we have the bus leaving on the front door of the Scandic Hotel. For the tour to these five targets. So we have the Lurky Kitchen we are going to visit inside, I think it was like that. And then we are going to Laanila School, we are going to visit the school over there. And then we are just driving past the Hiikkavaara area, Hiikkavaara Community Center, and the Reska area for the energy savings for one family houses. And then we have the Kasteli Community Center, which is the very big school, municipality school, a multifunctional building. You can't use, so it's the target 4. And then we are visiting the Raksila's swimming hall, which is energy targeted by the city of Oulu. And I think we are going to have coffee over there for people who are taking part of this bus tour. So there's some seats available. If you want to go there, we have the Aulikki was downstairs can take the names. And you are free to come at 1 o'clock to the bus. So thank you for all attending this. Lots of have been done and will be done. So thank you for all the speakers and for the audience. Thank you.